Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but a lifelong attempt of acquiring it. This is a quote by Albert Einstein. Teens Time!
It's that time. Welcome to another exciting episode on Teens Time. I am Ruth and my co-host is
Buffalo Arisha Akosia. So Ruth, what are we discussing today?
Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting and educative topic, which is how to become an extraordinary student. Wow! Becoming an extraordinary student includes learning and reading efficiently, being organized, punctual at school, being attentive in class, doing your homework, participating in class activities, and also learning, and many more. The zeal to perform extraordinary in school as a teen helps to increase competition among students, and in class, it helps to build confidence. Today, we'll be giving you techniques involved in learning so as to become excellent students.
You at home can join in the conversation on our Facebook page at Teens Time GTV, or you can send in your views to our WhatsApp line 0243 170 721.
I will introduce my guest after the short break. Stay tuned.
Alright. You know say money no be problem. Honest on the block. Alright, I'm back again. You know what time it is?
Thank you for staying. In the studio here, I have two wonderful guests and I would like them to introduce themselves. Madam, please.
I am Francisca Abna Adansi from Christian Methodist Senior High School.
I'm Aaron Lordstone, a learning strategist and author.
Alright, thank you. They will be educating us on what learning is, the methods we can use to learn efficiently so as to become extraordinary students. It's still Teens Time, and the discussion starts right after this break. Stay tuned.
Some of the nicknames of
Jibala, Escobar, all of them. About wherever you are. Yes.
Teens Time is time to change the narrative and make bold statements in our generation.
And on the flip side, we serve you old school and new school entertainment.
Teens Time shows on GTV this and every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Teens Time.
It's definitely our time. Yay!
Thanks for staying. Welcome back to the studio. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So I'd like to ask you a few questions. Sir, please, I would like to ask, what is learning?
Okay, thank you very much. Learning is a relative change in behavior as a result of experience. So the question is, what is that relative change? Learning is a process where we tend to learn things in bits in order to improve on the quality of our lives and acquire the right knowledge for whatever we want to do. When it comes to experience, it has to do with practice. You've been exposed to a certain content or material over a period of time. You practice it, and over time, you become more enhanced in your understanding of whatever you've been exposed to. That is learning.
B.F. Skinner is an educationist, and he sees learning as relatively a process that brings a change in the behavior of the learner. So at the end, he is trying to say that when you learn, that learning is supposed to bring a change in the behavior, and that change is supposed to be permanent. He goes on to say that there is nobody who cannot learn anything. Everybody can learn something. So whatever you do that you didn't know before, now you know, it means you have learned. Learning has taken place.
Thank you. So, how should we learn or study as teenagers?
We learn through the means of our five senses. So it is very important for every student to pay attention to what is being written on the board. So the five senses, I mean the sight, eye, nose, mouth, your ear, and then the hand. So whatever is being taught in the classroom, you must know how to manipulate these five senses to be able to maximize a lot from whatever is being communicated. Yes, and then we also talk about how you can also utilize the opportunity within a classroom to pay attention. So when the teacher is teaching and you don't know how to pay attention, it will be a challenge for you. Yes, and there are certain challenges that comes with it. So let's say, for example, if you come to that point, you realize that you are not good in paying attention. What do you need to do? There will be a challenge in learning effectively. Yeah, so we learn through the means of our five senses.
I would want to say that learning doesn't always take place in the classroom. Do you understand?
Yes.
It takes place everywhere. Life is about learning. So to learn effectively as a teenager, you must know your goal. We are preparing students for 3 different areas as they are in school: further studies, the world of work, and adult life. So how do you become successful in any of these areas that you would choose as an individual? That is what you have to look at. And then you have to look at how you learn to be effective. As my big brother mentioned, some people are visionaries. You need to know yourself, whether you are the type that will have to see the material you are learning before assimilation takes place. There are others who are odious. They are the people who need to hear. If he or she was not in class, there's nothing you can do because he didn't hear. And there are people who are the kinesthetics. They would have to manipulate information. So you as a teenager, you need to know which of the learning strategies will work for you, and you are good to go. Yeah.
Thank you. Why do some students find it difficult to understand what they are being taught?
Okay, it's natural. The mind goes through a lot of process. Even as we are here, your mind could be thinking about something different from what we are doing. So, first and foremost, when there is a defect with the 5 senses I mentioned earlier on, there will be a challenge in understanding whatever is being communicated. So, the other thing has to do with the states of the child's learning ability. We have different types of learners. We have the very fast, we have the very slow, and then average. I don't want to mention specific names. Now, if you have a very slow learner in your classroom, and as a teacher, you don't know how to teach, to engage that slow learner to upgrade their thinking process over time, then there will be a gap between what you have taught and what the students will understand. And the research shows that majority of students or people in this world are average learners. In other words, from the slow learner perspective to the average learner, the fast learners are very few. But unfortunately, that's where we tend to focus more attention on the few that can respond fast. But even with that, there's a gap. So it depends on the mental processing rate of the child. Cognitive, let me use the right word, cognitive rate of the child.
Sometimes too, the student is not attentive in class. The teacher is teaching, the person is there in body, like the container is in the classroom, but the real person within is not there. So the person may hear the teacher talking, but he wasn't listening, she wasn't listening. So whatever the teacher taught, he may not get it. Other times, the person's emotional state at the time the teaching was done wasn't that conducive. So in the terms of learning, the person was not ready. So it will make it difficult. Other times too, if let's say your vocabulary level is low, whatever you read or whatever people teach you, teachers teach, you may not understand. So you can't learn effectively. Those are some of the reasons, I think.
What hinders effective learning?
There are many factors. You could talk about anxiety. When you're anxious about something, it affects the rate at which your mind needs to pay attention to whatever you are trying to learn. So there's a need to work on that anxiety. And then when you are hungry, learning is a mental activity that consumes a lot of energy. So when you are hungry, it is best to make sure you fill your tummy, and then you come with the right energy to learn. And then when you are angry, there's an emotional state of being where originally you are disturbed. So your focus level is being shifted to what caused the anger. So your attention span and focus will be affected. So there is a need to realize that when you are angry, you don't learn. And then when you are afraid of the subject, like I said, we learn through perception by means of our five senses. So if someone is afraid of the subject, it's because maybe he or she has heard that subject is difficult. That word alone becomes a conflict within that person. Anytime he picks the book to read, it keeps playing, hey, this subject is difficult, how can I? So that alone becomes a challenge in learning effectively. Then let me see, when there is also a defect in the five senses. If a child has challenge in hearing, and you, the teacher, doesn't come to the level of the child, you teach all right, perfect, but the child will not be able to hear whatever you said. If the child is a slow learner, it takes time to understand whatever has been taught. So if the teacher teaches fast and is not able to really come to the level of the mental state of processing of the child, there will be a gap in whatever has been taught and then whatever the child needs to know.
Thank you. Madam, please, is there something you want to add?
Yes. What I want to add is that if you don't practice what you have been taught regularly, learning will never take place. The common saying goes that practice makes perfect. And for me personally, I believe that whatever you practice, whether good or bad, you become perfect in it. You understand? So if you are taught something and you don't practice, you never become very good at it. Don't think that you understand. Sometimes it's a deceit. You think you understand, but when it comes to exams, because you haven't practiced, you may not be able to deliver. So practice is very key here. Yeah.
Thank you. In this modern day time, are there any methods or techniques that can aid in our learning?
Yes, there are. These days, technology has made a lot of things very easy. So as a learner, if you have even a challenge in your site, so reading becomes a challenge, there are embedded audio softwares that you just need to highlight the text and then it will replay everything to you. And then there are also videos that are available that can help you visualize whatever you need to read. Yeah, so technology has come to make learning more modernized than first having to always take the textbook to read. But let me say that as our level, it is very good to always go to the foundation where you are able to take your textbook or your notes and then read and then practice instead of depending on technology. Because there is a way we learn much better if you're able to convert whatever you are learning mentally on a piece of paper. It helps you to be able to organize your critical thinking skills very well. So if you don't do that and you just shift to the modern way of learning, you will be able to have knowledge, but processing it to produce the right result will be a challenge.
One of the things that I think teenagers can do now is to do the collaborative learning. When you succeed, I succeed sort of thing. And then together we are successful. So when we are together, we collaborate, we come together as a group. So for example, 5 students can come together. Then what was taught in class, they discuss it. Definitely one person in the group understood it, even if 3 or more didn't understand. You understand? So that collaboration can also help. You do group studies and you discuss. So you, the one who understood the lesson in class, you become the tutor. And you tutor your friends. You speak your language at that level, and then they get it. Another way is also to do the gamification. Yes, you can convert some of the things you have learned, the experiences you have learned, into games. Do you understand? And then as you play the game, it's a way of learning. We know young adults love to play games. So when you gamify the concept, they are able to get it. You can also use flipped classrooms, as he mentioned part of them. There are a lot of tutorials online, a lot. There is nothing now you look online and you won't get. There are a lot of tutorials. So as you watch the tutorials, you make your own notes, you write. For me, I believe in writing. So as you watch the tutorials, you make your own notes, summaries. So by the time you are done with the video, you have your own notes on the stuff. Do you understand? And then you are good to go.
Thank you. So now to our main question for the day. Who is an extraordinary student?
Okay. I think as students, we all desire to excel. So for an extraordinary student, what you need to do is to have a personal timetable. You don't just go to school with your bag and then you close, you go home and say, I'm a student. So have a personal timetable aside what the school has, and then make sure you go by it. 2, identify a conducive environment where when you are learning, you realize that your state of mind can consume a lot. Then you can also look at learning quality, not quantity. You don't just open your books 3 hours and then you said you are learning when you know that there's nothing going on. So if it is 30 minutes, you can learn effectively and understand, do it. If it's an hour, if it is 2 hours, do it. Any extra time after your mind is not consuming anything, you are just wasting your time. So I insist quality learning rather than quantity. And then, like Madam said, maximize the use of the internet. The internet is so beautiful. It has a lot of things we can get from. So whilst you are reading from an advanced author perspective to a very ordinary or simple level, make sure you take your notes. That will help you coordinate whatever the teacher has taught in the classroom. Let's not forget that when you are learning on the internet, don't just go and pick the material and come and prove to the teacher that you know. No, take the material and see what are the objectives the teacher is working with so that you get the right material to feed the teacher. And then extraordinary students, what you to do is there is a need to come to that point to have a can-do attitude. Learn a new topic every day. Don't wait when it's getting to time for midterm or exams before you rush trying to learn. Make it a point that per your timetable, you dedicate an hour or 2 to learn your content. At best, when you are done with the day's lesson, come home and learn what you have been taught for that day, because your mind is fresh to be able to recall whatever has been taught for the day. And then by the next day, make sure you revise another one.
For me, I am still on regular practice. Just decide to do a little more than the normal. Yes, the normal thing is that you go to school, the teacher teaches, you come home and if you like, you go over. But for you to become that extraordinary student, you need to do just a little more than the ordinary students will do. And then, as he mentioned, you need to set goals for yourself. So you move one step ahead. Every day, if you are able to move a step ahead, I believe in taking it one day at a time. So just a little more at one time makes you extraordinary. And you make sure that you regularly practice.
What should a teenager do to become an extraordinary student?
For me, I think that the teenager should decide to go the next level, as I mentioned in one of my submissions. Make sure that you cut down on your distractors. The things that distract you as a teenager, they are a lot. They are a lot. This day and age, they are a lot from A to Z. Cut down on the things that you know distract you. And some of them are friends. Some of our friends are too many. too many friends, just press the pause button on some of these friends because they don't add to anything in your life. You understand? Another distractor could be the phone, mobile phone. It's good, yes, but it should be done sparingly at the right time. So you don't keep your screen contact 24/7. No. Another thing could also be that delight in having joy in studies, enjoy learning, develop that habit of excitement when you want to learn. Learning should be joyful to you. It shouldn't be like somebody's compelling you to do it. You understand? I'm sure that with this, if you are able to put yourself in shape and become focused, you are okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as students, like she said, have a purpose while you are in school or while you're a student. See, when you don't have a purpose for something and you think it's your parents that are just forcing you, a time will come when your parents are no more. You realize that you need that education to get to where you want to get to.
Sure.
So we, as students, we should come to that point to have a purpose and a reason why we are in school. And then you know that the prime duty as a student is to learn. So you can't just carry your bag and go and make friends and then say that I'm a student. Your grade must prove to the fact that indeed you are acquiring the right knowledge that will shape you for the future. Yeah, so we should have the end product of who we want to become as a motivating factor to really help us to cut down on those extra distractions.
Now, can I ask, what is the importance of becoming an extraordinary student?
It opens you up, or it opens the doors of scholarships to you. If you are extraordinary, people become interested in you and they want to help. They want to see what will be the end result that you can offer. So scholarships are available to you.
I would say being extraordinary, and why is it important is that it helps you develop your critical thinking ability, because learning is a way of developing the mind to think logically to produce the right results. So if you are extraordinary, at certain points you can reason well, get the right outcome, and then it builds your self-confidence too. When you get into the midst of people, you have materials to express yourself, and presentation-wise and communication skills is also enhanced if one becomes an extraordinary student.
Thank you for that. So now, are there any roles that parents must take up to ensure that their students learn efficiently?
Most parents like to compare their children with other children based on their learning abilities. Oh, Kofi is smart, and look at you, you are too dumb and all that. It's wrong. As a parent, there are different learning abilities. Just come to the level of your child. Acknowledge the state of your child and then help the child gradually to build the right confidence to now upgrade their learning abilities. And then make sure every time the child comes, you have one-on-one with the child. Today, what did you learn at school? Can you explain? Get interested in the learning process of your child. And that alone has a way of letting the child know that, okay, let me go and learn. And then, because when I come home, my parents will ask me, what did I learn?
One of the things parents also do that worry teenagers a lot is the fact that if we realize our child could do one or two, we overload that child with the things we parents think the child could do. We couldn't do it anyway, but we have forgotten that that child too has a limit that the child can go. A typical example is where a parent feels that the child is exceptional or the child is good. So in school, that child is playing some rules in school. When the child comes home, this same child belongs to some other associations and entities that put a lot of responsibilities on this same child. So if the child gets tired, you realize that he becomes a jack of all these trades, but a master of none. Another one parents can also do is to be a form of reminders for this teenager. If the child needs to wake up earlier than normal to study, you, the parents, you are supposed to be that reminder, that alarm clock. It is you.
Then the next thing is, any effective or extraordinary student is that person that does personal learning. You see, our school system is structured in a way that from here you go to the next, then go to the next. So within the time you are done, you've not even had enough time to really understand what has been taught. Then another teacher comes. So if you want to really be exceptional, make time for personal learning and then practice, consistency, learn less difficult topics and upgrade your confidence over time to the much difficult ones. And I believe you are good to go.
Yeah, I also think that to become extraordinary, the smart way to learn. One main thing I believe in is that when it comes to teaching and learning in the classroom, silence is no more golden. What I mean by that is that there are situations where you teach teenagers and it appears everybody claims to understand. There is somebody who is struggling, but because everybody is pretending or everybody understands, that struggling student keeps quiet. The person keeps quiet for fear of being tagged as not knowing things or not being smart. So for me, when it comes to the classroom, silence is not golden.
Thank you for this life-changing session. This is the end of our discussion. Thank you for the time you spent with us. I have been discussing strategies on how to become extraordinary students with Mr.
Lordstone Pugu,
the founder of
Lordstone Life Coaching Consult,
and Madam Francisca, a teacher from
Christian Methodist Senior High School.
Thank you very much again.
Yeah, from a shy man, me starting. To like a boy, they fear nothing. 247, me spitting. Me shout you can't do me nothing. What's up, Ghana? I go by the name SPIKEGE, Spike G, the General, representing Forvent Empire. Keep watching Teens Time on GTV. G's on it.
So, Laurentia, what did you learn from today's discussion?
I learned that we should develop a passion for learning, and also we should learn we should do collaborative learning.
So, could you please give us the message for today?
Sure. Our message for today is simple. Develop a passion for learning, and if you do so, you won't cease to grow. It's still Teens Time. I am Buffalo Laurentia Koshia.
And I'm Ruth Peterson. Make a date with us same time next week.
Bye.
This year more like, last year more vibes, next year crowd year bedtime. I want me home by, yes we me fail. Me I saw the back, now so Saturday be a me body papa. When I'm in the club I want to